Ms. Rahayu.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I would like to firstly commend the Ministry of Environment and Water Resources as well as the National Environment Agency for all the efforts thus far in gradually extending smoke-free areas in Singapore. This is clearly not good news to all the smokers, but for the majority who crave for clean air wherever they go, the national effort in creating and promoting a smoke-free lifestyle in Singapore is a welcome one. I would like to take this opportunity, though, to convey some of the issues on the ground reflecting the challenges in the enforcement of the Act as it stands, together with the proposed amendments. Firstly, a common complaint that many of us as MPs would have received is the feedback on the smoking occurring within residential units. This issue had been discussed in Parliament before and was also raised by my colleagues earlier. Smoking within residential homes is understandably not prohibited. In fact, with all the extension of smoke-free areas, the home is probably one of the few spaces left for the smoker to smoke in peace. However, the problem occurs when the resident smokes while standing at his or her window or balcony. The smoke and often the ash travels to his or her neighbours' homes. This causes much grievance to other residents in the block. I recall that one of my residents who complained about this issue lamented that it is ironical that with so much regulation to create smoke-free environment in public spaces, he and his family members are unable to enjoy a smoke-free environment in their own homes. On one occasion, I received a poignant plea from a resident living in a condominium. He is a lung cancer survivor and is naturally concerned about breathing in passive smoke. His neighbour, however, has a habit of smoking at his window, so this resident had to constantly close his windows and stuff cloth at the bottom of his main door just so that the smoke does not travel into his unit. He begged for the managing agent, MCST and NEA to intervene. There was little that could be done, save for advising and encouraging the neighbour to stop smoking by his window. The situation improved after some time, but would recur once in a while. My grassroots leaders and the managing agent would try their best to assist to address the feedback whenever it is raised, but this is clearly not the most ideal resolution of the matter. The second issue I would like to highlight is the lack of cooperation of the smokers in the absence of enforcement. From the feedback I received on the ground, smokers do not appear to comply with the rules and can be quite defiant when reminded by others not to smoke in certain spaces. Some can be seen smoking in the parks within the housing estates, and when told not to do so by passers-by, will arrogantly state that there is no one around to issue them the summons. I've received this feedback from many residents and friends. Related to this point, there seems to be a lack of understanding about the rules relating to smoking in sheltered walkways or drop-off points. Some smokers seem to think that when it rains, it's unreasonable to disallow them to smoke in covered spaces when it is raining. I've received feedback from people who see smokers at sheltered walkways during the rain, and also appeals from those who feel that they should not be penalized if they were caught smoking while seeking refuge from the rain. In light of the feedback mentioned above, I believe there is some way to go for us to look into beefing up enforcement and, more importantly, educating people about the efforts in creating a smoke-free environment for all, especially our future generation. I would like to therefore seek some clarification on the current strength of the enforcement team. I note the efforts in recruiting volunteer enforcement officers. I would like to know if there is a sensing of the enforcement capacity required to match the growing smoke-free areas. Would the current capacity be sufficient to deal with the patrolling and enforcement that need to be carried out at the new specified places where smoking will be prohibited? If not, what are the efforts to build on this capacity? Has the current effort in tapping on volunteers been successful? In relation to the issue of smoking in residential homes, are there any enhancement to rules that could be put in place to regulate conduct of smokers in private spaces which impact on others? I understand that this is extremely difficult to control and there are various views on the matter. There are residents who feel strongly that there should not be regulation that impinges on what they can or cannot do at home. However, I feel what needs to be emphasized is the adverse impact to others. In this regard, could we consider some penalties when second-hand tobacco smoke is expelled out of a residential home? I understand that the matter is not quite straightforward. For example, the enforcement of this would require evidence which may be tricky to obtain. I feel, though, if someone repeatedly commits the offence, it would be possible to track the unit from which the smoke comes from and issue a notice. I also feel that the enforcement approach could be in phases with the issuance of a warning first. In any case, The legislation would send a strong message about the seriousness of the matter and deter residents from smoking at the windows or balconies. At the end of the day, I feel that public education is the most important in encouraging people to embrace the importance and value of the smoke-free environment. I truly appreciate the current efforts already in place. One message we could amplify is the impact of smoking on others. Smokers do not appear to appreciate the value of the rules in place, but are rather only triggered by the fear of enforcement. The softer and tandem approach of educating and supporting them to quit smoking should be enhanced and amplified to reach out to more. I understand that there are many challenges, and I truly appreciate the effort and multiple approaches taken by the Ministry and NEA in tackling the issue. Deputy Speaker, I stand in support of this bill.